How's everybody doing? I will stream when I can. I apologize for not being here. I really do. Uh, I had a couple days where I felt good in the morning, and then when the afternoon came, I just did not feel good enough to be streaming. I was still getting stuff done, but I just wasn't all that talkative. I don't know if I'm that much better today, but I'll at least try. Uh, there was an interview on Cuomo's podcast, not his news show, but his podcast, and he was interviewing Chris Mellon. And I found it. I'm gonna do my best. I think it's Chris Cuomo. Go find his podcast because he's been interviewing. I don't know that he does it every podcast, but he's been doing these interviews on the UFO subject on his podcast. And I don't know if he believes or not, but I have to tell you, he is very professional, and he seems to be doing a good job covering the story. Because, like, I gotta be honest with you, and I like her as a person, well, at least publicly. I don't know what she's like, privately, but in public, she seems like a really decent person. And her show is pretty good. When she was press secretary, I thought she was pretty good. But she was doing a podcast, or not a podcast, but she was doing her weekend news show, and she had somebody who had gotten fired from CNN on as the guest person that was being interviewed. And this is not going to be political, even though it might seem like it right now, but he was on and he was talking about the Republican debates, and he made the comment that, like, if the next debate was going to be serious, or if they were going to talk about UFOs again. And I reached out to her on Threads and I said, look, I go, this isn't necessarily it's not your doing, but I go, I do think it's your responsibility. I sincerely think we need to take the UFO subject seriously. And I go, when you've got that guy coming on and acting like it's not a serious thing, I go, I think any legitimate news person at this point in time with what's going on should be pushing back on that. I go, I firmly believe they should be pushing back on that, because I go, we've got a whistleblower who has come before Congress, and I go, he spoke to an inspector general. I'm not, and this is all factual. This is not my theory. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. This is a fact, much in the same way 4 is a bigger number than 1. It's a factual thing that you just can't argue with. Well, you can, but you're a fucking nut job if you are. It just is. This guy came forward, and he went and offered himself up as a whistleblower, spoke to an inspector general. The inspector general had the security clearance to investigate everything this guy was claiming. David Grutch, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but he was the guy that came forward. And this inspector general, when he got done, he didn't reach out to Congress to go, oh, this guy's insane. This guy is insane. You should basically send failed journalists on Jen Psaki's show and fucking shit all over him. That's not what he said. He didn't say, oh my God, I couldn't find anything out of this guy. I can't say that he didn't even go that far. He didn't say, oh, this, I don't know if this is right or wrong. I investigated it and couldn't find anything out. That would be near the territory of the, the Steele dossier. They were shitting on that. Bill Maher, my brother was watching Bill Maher, and had somebody on there, and I don't know if she's a liberal, libertarian, I don't, but she's a nut job because she started shitting on the Steele dossier, and again, if you got somebody, again, maybe she's not lying, maybe she just doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't know, but usually when you got somebody to lie about the little things, they'll lie about anything. And if she is someone going on Bill Maher's show to talk about shit she doesn't fucking understand, well, hey, that's that's not a ringing endorsement for credibility. It's just not. And she went down there, and the first thing she said was she was talking about how the Steele dossier wasn't credible. So again, I don't know if she could be one of these far left liberals. She could be a libertarian. She could be it didn't seem like she was a conservative because she was talking about she didn't play with Barbies. She was talking about fascism or feminism. And because she didn't play with Barbies growing up, but her daughters do, so she's only bought the Barbies with flat-soled shoes because they're the feminist Barbies. And so I really don't know what her problems are physically or psychologically. I don't. And but that was the first thing she told that just wasn't true. Whether it was a lie or whether she's a moron, I can't speak to. I literally can't. And oh yeah, we'll explain this. I finally got this thing working a little better. What I did is I started trapping these guys in here, and then when I hit the button, the piston retracts, everybody comes out. Everybody comes out, but while they're in there, they will turn. Now the baby ones can come out. I got to do something with that. I just need to put like a bottom slab in here or something like that. But the baby zombies can come out. But when I hit the button on the back side of this opens up and everybody dumps out. And that is killing off the golems a lot better. I'm getting a better haul of iron. And I got to tell you, if you are doing this early game and you want the drops, like I want the, at least for right now, I want the armor. And like right now, I can get a diamond sword, I can get a diamond axe or a pickaxe, I can get a diamond axe. I can't get diamond shovels yet, so I do appreciate getting these steel shovels. And then when I get them down, if I don't destroy them, I melt them down and get the iron from them. But if you want the drops, what you need to do is, this is a good way to do it, because when they turn from being a drowned to when they go from being a drowned to or zombie to a drowned, anything they've got comes off. And they sometimes get new equipment that you can then, get it to drop. So it's a much more, I've been getting a lot better drops out of this thing since I did that. And I'm not sure. I honestly can't remember, but I got this all dug out, and I've been I still got to get the leaves, but I got this done in here, and then I got this guy so I can technically come over and trade radishes for emeralds. I don't know if it's a glitch or if it'll be fixed when I get a new guy in here. But these guys here, I get them with like 2 or 3 stacks of seeds. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until I can actually give them 8 stacks of seeds to fill them up so they can't. But the thing is, then they won't be able to pick up radishes, and because this is like a breeding farm. I don't know, but every time I set him loose, after a while, I end up with no radishes. I get villagers out of this, but I kind of wanted to do radishes. I might try potatoes, but I kind of wanted to just do radishes this time. And to me, it seems like a glitch, and I don't know if it's just with radishes or if it's with any type of thing that has like with the potatoes where you could get the bad potatoes, or if you can get it with wheat. Carrots should be okay because all you get is carrots. So I might have to. Usually that's what I do. I do carrots, but this thing here, it's been like three, at least two, I think three times where I got this thing filled up. I gave him like a couple stacks of seeds, and then after a little bit of playtime, I run out. There's like nothing. So like the last time I did it, I made sure I had basically had stacks of seeds up until the end, and then I took like one stack out and did it. But it's like I had a shitload of seeds here, so I've been running it manually for right now. And the thing is, I'm not producing a lot of villagers, so it's actually working. And then I get like as soon as I put a new bed down or one of these guys has an accident, it'll probably pump out another villager. But I got two of them that I can do what I want with. And but anyways, and the next thing when they both people that were on the show, and I can't think of the guy's name. He's I really don't want to call him a liberal. I don't I don't want to call him a I don't want to call him a libertarian since I'm not entirely sure that's what he is either. He is Sam something or other. He's got a podcast. He's kind of like a deep thinker. And I'm not going to say he's always right, but there's definitely a good process in the way he looks at things. And he was on there. Well, she originally started shitting on the Steele dossier, and both of them, Bill Maher and the other guy, goes, well, that, because she goes, well, it was all wrong, and they go, it wasn't all wrong, and they kind of corrected her ignorance or her deception. And they told her, they go, it wasn't all wrong. There was a lot of it that was right. Well, then she went to lie number two. Again, she might, I can't really call her dishonest. She might be a fucking idiot. I can't say. I can't put a motive on it because I don't know what her dysfunction is. But, there we go. And, but she, was just a fucking idiot. It's like, but she started talking, oh, well, Hillary, it came from Hillary. Well, no, the Steele dossier, well, first of all, I'm sorry I got on this, but I hate these fucking incessant lies. And like I said, it could be somebody on the far left, it could be somebody on the right. I don't know where she fits in I don't know who she is. Uh, Bill Maher had all this time off because of the writer's strike, and he couldn't find somebody more intelligent to have on his show. That's really fucking disappointing. Okay, now this thing here, I got a sapling. This is a cherry tree. I got the sapling from one of the wandering snitches and wandering traders. Guy I know, he played Anarchy on Minecraft, and I guess that's what they called him in his Anarchy game. They called him Wandering Snitches because you'd be working on your hidden base, and somebody would come by and they'd see one of these guys like floating in the water or something like that. And they'd be like, "Okay, somebody's got a base around here because they've been hanging out. They've been hanging out long enough for this guy to show up." So it would basically let people know to start looking in the area for you. And I'm gonna wait, go to bed, and but then she started talking about being Hillary, that created it, and because she couldn't say it wasn't true. Well, then it was a political attack. Well, no, the Steele dossier was originally started by one of Trump's competitors in the primaries. It was some Republican candidate or Republican group that started it. And the guy in question was former MI6 or MI5. I believe it's whatever the British counter to the CIA is. And he's got contacts still in the world from his, life as a agent over there. And he was working them. Well, he started finding information that this is him, not his boss, not anybody he was working for. He started uncovering stuff about Trump that was just disturbing. And so what he did was he reached out to a friend of his that, or a contact, a colleague, whatever you want to call him, but the guy works for the FBI. And he reached out to them and gave him some of the stuff that he had found. And I guess he got a hold of him. He said, "Hey, I kind of shared this at work." And he goes, "If you don't mind, the FBI would honestly like to talk to you." And so he agreed. The FBI said they were already, it sort of came out that they were already working on this, and what he had found matched up with a little bit of what they suspected or had already uncovered, but he had different sources. So it really strengthened their investigation. And but this idea that Hillary started it is a lie. But what happened is the company that had hired him, when the Republicans stopped paying for it, because they were going by what he was turning up and the fact that the FBI was interested in it. They figured, well, somebody else will want to pay for this. Well, then they found the Hillary campaign was willing to continue funding it, but they didn't start it. They didn't know about it. It's not like they went around looking to stick their tongue on somebody's asshole and find it. They reached out. My understanding is they reached out to the Hillary campaign and they said, yeah, we'd be interested. Like what was he paying you? We'll pay it. And that's where it kind of went. Anyways, the call to action. Just seriously, I watched my mom die in hospice. Uh, she basically starved to death or died of dehydration, whatever you want to call it. And the hospice people were great. I'm not trying to shit on them whatsoever. But reach out to everybody that you vote for, if you don't mind. Reach out to them. Ask them to legalize assisted suicide. Uh, for people like me that are sick and don't seem to be getting better, they seem to be getting worse, or somebody that knows they're actually dying, we should have better options. And we really should. We really should have better options. And so please reach out to them. Anybody from dog catcher on up. Just start getting the buzz going. Okay, now this here, I got this dug out all the way through. I'm still working on finalizing, but this goes to my original spawn point. And then I've got that one coming over here. And, okay, we're going to say around 24. Up here, and I don't know if I'm going to get this working today. I really don't. I think I got to go get something. I forgot to bring something. And I got to go get some buckets. And what we got here is this is like, and I might detour on it, but I'm gonna start to work on getting that nether portal working. I'm probably gonna rebuild it. The first thing I want to do is I want to get some buckets, and I am going to bucket up. I'm going to bucket up all the lava there and save it. And I can use some of the lava to actually get the portal working. And the other thing is, I don't have it all the way down to bedrock, but I think I got it down almost to zero I think I got it down to almost the zero middle coordinate, the Z or the Y, or like right now I'm at 492, 85, 46. It would be the 85 coordinate. I got it down to just about zero, but I have, but I got a mine dug over at the village base. Because I was going to basically dig down there and find lava. And then one of the days I was kind of in the mood, so I can't, because I gotta be in a halfway decent, I gotta be feeling halfway decent to come over here. Where I'm at on the base, it's relatively safe. But for me to come over here and fuck around, I gotta be feeling halfway decent, or I'm creeper bait. And but I'll come back and I think I'll get some. I might have to get some more iron. I forgot all about it. But I'll come back over here, get some iron, make some buckets. And I might not have enough buckets, but I'm going to start bucketing up that lava. And then once I get that done, I want to dig. I either want to make a path from there to where the road's going to be, or I want to dig into the mountain and dig over the mountain to get to the road. But that other tunnel, the one I showed you that goes back to the spawning base, that one there I'm going to keep going. That's going to go from this map to the next map. It's going to go across the whole world eventually. And if I live long enough. And this one here this one's just going to join the two bases to the portal. That's all this is going to do. There might build some stuff on this road, but this road, it pretty much its primary mission is to go from both my current bases to the portal. And that's all it's going to do. It's not meant to be a map-wide road. It's a short road, a bridge to nowhere, you can call it. And so yeah, there's that call to action. Just basically get them to legalize assisted suicide. Give people like me and people like my mom better options. I don't know if that's what she would have wanted to done. I would have been like, but she, I just don't know that she would have wanted to go out that way, because they gave her the option of fighting the cancer with chemo or going on hospice. She chose hospice. When she found out it was not inoperable and all she could reasonably expect was to prolong her life a little bit, she didn't want to do it. I think there's at least a chance that if she'd have been offered an option, she probably would have chosen not to keep going. But again, I don't know. But in a case like that, we would have done whatever she wanted. At least I would have. And cause I told her a couple times, I go, look, if they could sit there and say, oh, there's like a 5 or 10 or 15% chance that she could survive it with the chemo, I go, I'd be on your ass to fight it. But I go, when they're basically telling you that they didn't even want to give her any hope that the chemo would cure it and she'd come out of it better again. And I told her, I go, I can't say I blame you. I really can't. So let's get going. The other one is, and it sounds like this might be a deal. I don't know, but they've got an amendment from Chuck Schumer that would make the UFO disclosure stuff happen. And they also have, I'm going to make a bed. I'm going to put a bed over there. I don't want to have to run away every time it starts to get dark. I gotta watch this one again. It's an interview, and they're talking about a lot, and I just can't keep up with it. Trying to talk to you guys, and But Chuck Schumer's got this amendment, which there are people who think it's going to be a pretty good one. And then Christian Gillibrand, the senator from New York, her and Mark Rubio, it's my understanding, have one from their subcommittee, which would Schumer's would attach to the defense authorization bill, and theirs would attach to the intelligence authorization bill. I honestly think unless somebody I trust and is very knowledgeable said that you only needed one of them, I want to say we should really have both. So reach out, let them know that we need to have a vote on Christian Gillibrand's UFO amendment, and we need Chuck Schumer's, the Senate Majority Leader. We need to vote to pass his amendment on UFO disclosure. Because here's the thing, I have no idea what they're going to find. I can't sit here and promise you we're going to find ET. When the truth comes out, we could very well find out that every one of these UFO people, and I think some of them are there anyways, regardless, but you may very well find out that most of these or all of these UFO people are certifiably nuts and would need to go into a insane asylum. And that the only thing that's going on is some kind of a misinformation campaign being run by the military to steal money from the taxpayers. I would say that is a completely possible thing. And we could also find, like on the other end of the extreme, we could also find that, pretty much most, if not all, religions are based on UFOs or supernatural events, and they're not a religion. I think it was after World War II. There was some. Jesus fucking Christ. Ooh, fuck that creeper. I'm going to go back here and sleep on the side, and then by the time I come back, I should have gone far enough away that thing will vanish. I don't want to test out my armor. And and it could be that God isn't real. It could be that we were put here as a archaeological or a agricultural experiment from some super race. It could be that there was a race that we are genetically based on that died, and other races that are friends of theirs have repopulated us, kind of like the Stargate analogy, where we're like the second coming of the ancients. And I really don't know. I just don't. And but we're gonna find something. We're absolutely going to find something. So just reach out. I think the only ones you can reach out to that'll do any good are the ones in Washington. But reach out to them. And, even though this thing is marketed for kids or for adults, if you are a kid watching this, when I was a kid, it was like a third or a fourth grade thing for you to write your local senator or congressman. And, you could work with your parents. Now, maybe... hey, just be honest. You shouldn't be hiding stuff from your parents. If they don't want you to do this, that's fair enough for me. But reach out to them, have them get you a letter, a stamp, find out where you need to send it. Your parents can help you with that, or an older brother, older sister. Hell, a good teacher would be able to help you with that. You find out who you're supposed to write to, and you make it a little project, and you ask them to make sure that Schumer and Gillibrand's amendment pass. That would be so cool. It'd be a good little project, and you could email them. You could get a hold of them on your favorite social media platform. Whoever it is, maybe write to the president. Maybe write to Joint Chiefs of Staff or and just basically let them know, hey, we need this amendment passed. We absolutely need this done. Chop chop. And ooh, I'm gonna. Three more. And just write them, let them know that we need this stuff passed, and and if you reach out to a teacher, maybe they'll get the whole class involved in this. I don't know, because here's the thing, and a good teacher would be able to tell, your history teacher would really be able to tell you this. You go back to World War II, President Harry Truman, uh, he did these fraud hearings on the military or military contractors, suppliers, and he did these things. And when he became vice president, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff told him flat out those committee hearings where he looked into waste, fraud, and abuse were worth like a division or a battalion. It was basically worth as much as having a shitload of more troops. And he basically told me, he goes, yeah, that's how valuable those were to me. And there is one congressman, Representative Burkett or Burchett from Tennessee. And he said, and again, I don't know if he's lying to me, then I'm lying to you, but he didn't like say it to me. I saw an interview, but he was making the claim, and I don't think he's wrong. I just don't know for sure. But he was making the claim that he was making the claim I actually got some of these too, because this is another thing I wanted out of the nether. Well, I got them here, I guess. Let's get these things out of here. I'm just going to light this area a little bit up, because right now I'm not seeing too much spawning over here, but it's because there's a lot of light coming off the lava. But no, he used to do these things. And again, I don't know what we're going to find. I wish I could tell you for sure, hey, X marks the spot. We're going to find ET. As soon as they have disclosure, we're going to get on the bike and we're going to fly into the sky with them on a kite and everything else like in the movie. But I can't tell you that. I have no idea. But I do think we are being lied to. And it would be nice to get to the truth. It really, really would. Okay. I am going to go get some more buckets. I might have to mine some ice or some iron over there from the iron farm. And okay, but I think this is where I gotta go. I might get lost here, even though I actually got a map, but it's entirely possible I'll get lost in here. But I got a feeling that if nothing else, once they get this disclosure going, we may very well find criminal activity. I think that's the one thing that I can say, and again, not with certainty, but that is the one thing I think we will definitely find if they get some of this stuff done. Oh no 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 no. As much as I would like that Trident he's gone, I'm not real brave. I keep forgetting I actually do have armor, but it's not really enchanted worth a shit. So I'd like to wait a little bit. And but no, that'll be the project I'm working on, at least short term. I might not get it all the way done, but I'm gonna start working that way. And right now I just want to get all the lava scooped up. But but no, I honestly think we're going to find some corruption. This goes back to when President George W. Bush, not H.W., his father, but George W. Bush, when they were in Iraq, there were stories coming out of some of the more less popular and more honest news sites. They had like, if you know, I don't know your background, but if you've ever seen a skid loaded with boxes, shrink wrapped or whatever. In that Iraq war, they literally had skids, I think 5, 6 feet high, of money, shrink wrapped. Go missing. Fucking truckloads of it go missing. And they couldn't explain where it went. I again, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to find criminality or just blind fucking incompetence, but you're going to find something. And you know, like when that guy said that they they the Pentagon, ever since they started getting audited, they're like $1 billion off every year. I can give you a billion reasons why we need to investigate them. So again, whether we find little gray men or fucking whatever, we're gonna probably find some corruption, and that's enough for me to get started. And so we need to get going on that. Well, anyways, on these podcasts, Chris Cuomo, I think I can't remember. He's got an older brother that was the governor of New York. I'm talking about the guy that used to work on CNN. And he does a podcast, and he was interviewing this Chris Mellon guy. And my understanding is he comes from a rich family, and he's not like a Trump. He's not like a Trump Jr. He's not like a Tucker Carlson. People that are of limited or no use are not very ethical. This is a good guy. This is a guy that did not have to take a government job. He could basically do something for his family, work in a charitable trust or some crap like that. He could just be fucking living on the interest of his inheritance or whatever. Well, he wanted to do something. He seems like a really nice guy. He's worked for Democrats and Republicans. He's worked for it's either the CIA or one of the other intelligence groups, and he's also worked for the Department of Defense. And he's been, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe he's been in like the top 3 or top 5 jobs in both places. And he, he's been that. And this is a guy who did an interview, and I highly recommend that you go find it. It's Chris Cuomo, and I believe it was from this past week, so it should be fairly recent. But he did this interview, and one of the key things that I got from it was Chris Cuomo. I can't say, I can't say he's a George Knapp or somebody else who actually is a believer, wants to get to the bottom of it. I am thoroughly convinced that he is a professional journalist who is covering this story fairly. And that's all you can ask for in a journalist. I think I'd rather see that than somebody that is a diehard believer who might end up tilting the story in their favor. I think I'd rather have a guy who appears to be just completely nonplussed and just trying to get to the bottom of it. Although they might not aggressively go after it, etc., etc., etc. I think I'd rather have that. And they got talking, and this is something that he has said repeatedly, that he doesn't know hang on. He doesn't know what we're going to find, if we're going to find aliens or whatever. And I think he's right. This here, I would say, and again, I don't even think he's necessarily a true believer, but I gotta say that I think this is the best case for UFOs being real. And he's talked before about it, that he doesn't know what we're gonna find, but he goes, this stuff's classified for a reason. Because he said if there was really nothing here, like this David Grutch, this is a guy that came forward as a whistleblower. He's the guy who testified a couple months ago for Congress, and when they asked him, well, has money been misappropriated in the Defense Department? He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. He goes, when this is over, I'll give you. He basically told them when the thing was over, he would give them a list of hostile and non-hostile witnesses that they could pursue. I guess they were the same ones he gave to the Inspector General. And I just want to say, when he went to the Inspector General, that guy didn't say, oh, he's nuts, or oh, I can't prove anything. After this guy used his security clearance to investigate what he was told, he told Congress that this guy had come forward to him and that he was credible and what he was talking about was urgent. That was coming from the Inspector General, kind of the police of whatever department that was. That's what this guy's job is. He's like the internal police or the internal FBI or whatever you want to call them for whatever organization he was working for. And I believe it was military, but I'm not 100% sure. But he looked into it and he told him what he's saying is credible and what he's saying is urgent. You guys should get to the bottom of it. And it sounds like there have been a number of people coming, because Marco Rubio, again, I don't have a lot of use for him because he's a Republican, but he basically said, well, one way or another, he goes, we got a problem. He goes, we got people currently working for the government, currently have a security clearance, that are coming forward and telling us that what he's telling us is true. And he goes, we got a problem either way. Either it's true and we got that problem, or we've got people currently working with a security clearance that are fucking delusional. He goes, either way, it's a problem. We need to get to the bottom of it. And he goes, I'm trying to keep an open mind on it. Because he said, it scares me either way. Either one I would say is bad, so that they're trying to get to the bottom of it. And so that's what's going on. And he got talking to, and that's what he said. He goes, this guy here, he came forward and made all these accusations, and he said if there wasn't something there wouldn't be all this talk about it being classified. He wouldn't have to be so careful. They could just open up their books to Congress. He goes, he came forward. Congress wanted a skiff. They were denied a skiff. You got one congressman who basically said, we tried to pass something into law that would require the FAA, a civilian organization, not military, not intelligence, not, basically your commercial planes, that, the stuff we're flying, other countries can buy this stuff. It's not a military secret. And they tried to pass a law that would require that when they take UFO reports from their pilots, because that was something that has recently changed to where they're going to actually start compiling a database of, things that have been seen by pilots. And all this guy was trying to do, him and his friends in Congress, they were trying to get it passed where when that happened, it would be, like 100% made available to Congress. And they wanted to pass it. That to me, again, Republican or not, that to me sounds like a reasonable proposal. And when they floated it up to try and get that in a bill, they were basically told by the leadership that the intelligence community didn't want it done, so they pulled it. And this is where he said, he goes, I want to be clear. He goes, it would be one thing if our intelligence committees in Congress said no. He goes, that would make, he goes, that would at least be a little more acceptable because that's more their area, for the committees, that would be more their area. It wouldn't be that much different than, hang on once. Oh, that's a month ago. If somebody on the agricultural committee, and I'm not saying this is what's going, but it's that moral equivalent. If somebody from the agricultural committee wanted to do something to the military, and one of the military oversight committees, armed services, etc., if they pushed back and said, we don't want to do that, stay in your lane, that would be one thing. That would absolutely be one thing. Come on. Oh, he might be dead. I don't know. And, okay. And he said that would be one thing, but he goes, you've got these unelected people telling us, the elected officials, that's none of your business. And I'm gonna say that I don't think he's wrong on that. But that was where it came from. The intelligence community was telling them, no, go away, don't bother us. Which, to me, lends credibility to the Wilson memo. And you should be able to, if you want to find out what that is, you should be able to Google, like, military UFO Wilson memo. That should, and what it is, it's a memo that was written by an Admiral Wilson, who basically he had the post at the Pentagon. And there's a term for it, and I have no idea. I can't tell you off the top of my head what it is. But he was in charge of all the special access programs. Well, he found out about special access programs that are not reporting like they should be. because his position at the Pentagon, every special access program should have reported to him. And what he did was he reached out to him and said, "Hey, I'm the new one of these at the Pentagon. You guys, I'm aware, have special access programs. You have to report them to me. I am in charge of those, and it's the law." And he was basically told, "No, this happened." Yeah, yeah. They go, "Yeah, you're right." It was kind of like the Republicans in my state during the pandemic. Uh, they they basically went to court, some of the Republican legislators, and the Republican-led court, they in their ruling, they basically said, "Well, yeah, we know that the law gives you the right to do this, but we're not going to let you do it." And it's like, what the fuck? And that was literally what their ruling came down to. You got to understand, the Republican Party in my state is fucking lawless. In a perfect world, a lot of them would be in jail right now for their criminal activity, because what happened was, as soon as their Republican shitbag, Scott Walker, got voted out, and there was a Democrat that was elected during the lame duck session, what they did was they started voting a lot of his authority away, so that when the Democrat took over, he would have a fraction of the authority. And what they're going to do is, as soon as there's another Republican back in there, they'll just vote it all back. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. Legally, that's just not the way it's supposed to work. And what happens is, if you have a law, that law should apply to Democrats and Republicans. And that's not the way they want it. They're like, "Oh, well, when our people are in, this will be fine. When your people are in, fuck you." And that's what they did, because there was something that they didn't vote away. There was an authority they did not vote away, and what they did was the court, they had admitted in their ruling, "Well, yeah, technically the law gives you this authority, but we're just not going to let you do it this time." And it's like, excuse me? And at a certain point, I hate to say it, but if one side is not going to follow the law, then the other side shouldn't have to follow it either. I'm sorry. It's just, we got to live in the same world. I really don't know how to put it any other way, but it's like, yeah, we've got one political party in my state that's just criminal. And there was the legislature hired a former, and this is the real insulting part. They hired a former state Supreme Court judge to basically do what cyber ninjas did in Arizona, to basically look at the Republican attempt to steal the election and to try and generate some fake information to justify it. Well, we have sunshine laws. We got them in this state, and what happened was, there were people that said, "Hey, you've got to turn this over. We have sunshine laws." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't think so." Gableman was the guy's name. He's like, "I don't think so." So they filed like the state equivalent of like a FOIA request. He refused. He's like, "Yeah, I don't think so." And they took him to court, and they tried to get the guy who hired him, the head of one of the state legislatures, and the courts didn't find him. They found him in contempt, and he just ignored it. And then finally, when they found him in contempt, he said, "Oh, well, I destroyed those records." I don't understand why this guy isn't sitting in jail. Maybe the laws don't have any teeth. I don't know. Because if you have a law like that and it doesn't have any penalties spelled out in the law, then you can't. But I don't know why they didn't lock him up and say, "Well, you're going to be in jail until you fucking die, or you produce that evidence." "Well, I destroyed it." "Well, you better fucking recreate it. We live in a digital world. We'll feed you. You'll get 3 meals a day. You'll definitely lose. You're a fat piece of shit. But you'll definitely lose some weight. But the judges should have, basically he was in contempt. They should have thrown him in jail, or they should have fined him $10,000 a week or something until he turned it over. He'd either fucking. But again, why was he destroying that evidence if he wasn't a corrupt piece of shit? If he wasn't doing something criminal, why didn't he follow the law? And he's a former Supreme Court judge. He should have a better idea of what the law is than you or me or anybody else out there. But that's the shit we had going on. And I don't know, but that's what we got going on with some of this shit in Washington. And this is the thing that Cuomo. I'm trying to get back on track here, but Cuomo, he's basically, look, there's something here. And then when he was talking to Chris Mellon, he goes, he goes, when we were on the hunt for Osama bin Laden, he was at CNN then, which probably had more clout and more pull than where he's at. He goes, I could get way more information on what we were doing in Iraq, Afghanistan with bin Laden, and some of that stuff was classified. I could get way more information on that because I can't get nothing on this. He goes, I'm not going to claim to know what they're hiding, but he goes, they're hiding something. He goes, that is apparent to me. And what this is, I kind of hinted at this before, we had that President Truman who did these investigations in World War II, and the head of the Joint Chiefs, General Marshall, he's the reason why we never got field marshals. After World War II, there was talk of getting 5-star generals and calling them field marshals, like the Europeans did. And General Marshall did not want to be known as Field Marshal Marshall. That's why we don't have it. And it was, I think that's true. You can look that up. But I think that's why we don't have. We never had that, and they don't. I don't think they make too many 5-star generals anymore. They don't. But that's why we never adopted the title Field Marshal for 5-star generals like, the European, France, Germany, England, because he didn't want to be known as Field Marshal Marshall. That's petty. That's really fucking petty. Talk about the short-term thing that affects future. For the sake of one guy, we fucked everybody. And but that made a lot of sense when he hit on that. He's like, look, there's something there. There's got to be something there. And when you look at Harry Truman, for me, just take the UFO thing out of it. When you look at the money that comes up missing in Washington, every year, the DOD, according to that one congressman, if I understood him right, and if I understood him wrong, I apologize, but it seemed to me he was saying that every time they're audited, they're like $1 billion off. And if we had Harry Truman-style hearings on waste, fraud, and abuse, God knows what you'd find in there. You'd find criminality. You'd find incompetence. You may have people inside the military or inside the government. Look at what we just found out. And again, I don't know if it's true or not, but that Senator Menendez or whatever, it sounds like he may have been taking a bribe from Egypt to do certain. And again, I don't even know if that's real because I did a podcast, and that should be coming out. Well, if you're seeing this on Twitter, it's already happened on Twitter. But if you're seeing this on YouTube, it would have been like a previous podcast, something that's already out. But when you look at what has happened in the past with Harry Truman, a sitting governor of a state over the Phoenix Lights. I mean, Harry Truman, it was over the Manhattan Project, developing the nuclear bomb to win World War II. With the sitting governor of Arizona, Simonton or something like that, it was those Phoenix Lights in Arizona. Harry Truman tried to get to the bottom because he didn't know what it was. He'd been contacted by a friend from Congress and said, "Hey, there's something going on. There's a lot of money involved." And he goes, "I can't. I'm getting bullied and pushed back by the government." He goes, "You need to get into this." He goes, "We really, something about we really miss you in Congress because you're always good at getting to the bottom of this stuff." Well, he started poking around as vice president, and this is in one of the movies that was made on him. They put it in there, and then they put the same guy apologizing to him when he became president. But he was bullied. He was strong-armed. He was silenced. He was told to fuck off and leave something alone. And it was to keep, the nuclear program quiet. If they will threaten and bully a sitting vice president, somebody in office, what do you think they'll do to other people? They're, and then, this Simonton, this is a guy who started using his position as governor to try and get to the bottom of these Phoenix Lights. Well, the next thing you know, all these federal charges come up. They're ready to throw him away in jail, and as soon as he backed off, he ended up doing he ended up calling for a press conference, and he let everybody know that he was going to basically expose some stuff on the Phoenix Lights or the UFO problem, and the whole press showed up. It was a big deal, and he brought out his chief of staff in a UFO costume in handcuffs. And when he got out there, he looked and he goes, "You guys are all taking yourself way too seriously," and that pissed a lot of people off in the UFO community. But as soon as he did that, as soon as he backed off, as soon as he made that joke, all those charges disappeared, and they were offering a plea deal and all that. And then you look at Epstein. This is a guy that had an island where they were apparently forcibly molesting and sexually assaulting women, underage women. And he got, it sounds like they could have busted him at any time. Well, one of the things that came up when they were talking about him was that he had some kind of connection to the intelligence community. And then it was in Florida. I believe they brought local charges against him in Florida. And then the federal government came in, and I cannot tell you who was president when this happened. The federal government came in and kind of bigfooted it. They took over the case and decided to charge him federally. And really, it's kind of like this election scandal that we got now. Yeah, Michigan, either the governor or the attorney general in Michigan has basically said, well, yeah, we can charge them locally, and they had to because Attorney General Garland just was not doing his fucking job. And they sent the federal government all their information locally. They waited over a year, I think it was closer to 2 years, for the federal government to do their job, and then when they didn't, they picked it back up, and now they're prosecuting it. But she admitted that, it would be much better to do it federally because you would be able to get a bigger conspiracy charge. You'd be able to, because Rachel Maddow pointed out that 6 or 7 of these states all appear to be linked. So you'd be able to probably link a federal conspiracy amongst many states. You'd be able to increase fines and jail time. Well, the states were happy to turn it over. They're like, yeah, this will be bigger for you. We can't put them in for jail for as long at the state level. Well, then you've got a governor that doesn't want to do anything, or a attorney general that doesn't want to do anything. So Michigan had to pick up. I wish Wisconsin would. I really, really wish Wisconsin would. And well, that's what happened here. The federal government came and said, "Oh, we're gonna prosecute this." They took it over. So they basically had the agreement that the state would live with whatever the federal government was doing. Well, he was basically given a no jail sentence. They worked out a deal. I don't even know if he got like home arrest, but he did not have to go to jail. And they worked out this sweetheart deal for him. And then when he finally did go to jail under Trump, and the guy down in Florida, the U.S. attorney who Trump hired, he broke the law. They had a thing down here where before he offered him that plea deal, he was supposed to, I don't think he had to get permission, but he was supposed to inform the public. He was supposed to inform the public and the victims. And it was this sweet, secret sweetheart deal that they put together for him. And it's like, what the fuck? It just really, what the fuck? And you look at Matt Gaetz. Here's another one. It's like, it sounds like I think they're doing it to get even with him for his bullshit. But it sounds like they're investigating Representative Matt Gaetz from Florida for human trafficking young women and drug use. And it really looked like he was going to get charged federally, and then all of a sudden those disappeared. And I seriously wonder if they have worked out some kind of an Epstein deal with him where he's now doing what they want him to do in exchange for no prosecution. Because there were always rumors that, the reason why Epstein got away with what he was doing is because he was connected to the intelligence community. Well, is there somebody in maybe some secret government program that has orchestrated the strings like they did with Harry Truman or they did with Governor Simon, where they basically have not prosecuted Matt Gaetz? But maybe they're doing this, and this is why he tried to shut the government down, because they want to put these amendments in, and maybe just maybe they went in and they said, oh, well, we've got now a puppet in Congress, because even Republicans were saying that this doesn't make any sense. His fellow Republicans, and you look when he went to out the speaker, he had 7 people following. He did not have the overwhelming backing of his Republican party. None of this makes sense, but yet he did it anyways. He was so hated by his own party when he went to the floor before they did the vote to remove the speaker. He had to go and give his speech from the Republican side because apparently he didn't feel safe giving it on the Republican side of the House. But I really have to wonder, is the reason why he's doing this is the reason why he's not in jail, why he was never indicted or prosecuted. Did somebody do that because they now had a little bitch inside Congress who would do anything they told him to do? Fucking burn the House down, because it sounds like in the Senate they've got bipartisan support for Schumer's amendment. I don't know about Gillibrand's, but it sounds like they got bipartisan support for Schumer's. They just need to work on the House. Well, maybe this is their way of doing it. See, he was going to shut the government down. And McCarthy blinked, and that may be why he had to out McCarthy. Maybe he had to out McCarthy because he was supposed to shut the government down, and he was able to do it. And I got a feeling that when the government was shut down, they would be in a hurry mode as far as getting everything up and running, and they would be able to say, oh, well, we're not going to do these amendments. We can maybe do them next year or never. And I just kind of wonder if that's what was going on. And maybe that's why McCarthy had to be voted out. Because maybe that's why they had to get rid of McCarthy, because he did not let the government shut down so they could scuttle these disclosure. I really don't know. But again, if you look up, they put it right in that Harry Truman movie where he tried to investigate something that was, classified, and he got bullied as vice president. And, there might be more to it than I'm aware of, but when you look at that the governor's, I can't remember his name, but that governor for Arizona during the Phoenix Lights thing, this was a guy that was gung ho after it, and then these were things, if I'm not mistaken, they knew, it was known that this was stuff that they didn't just discover. This was like Epstein. This was like Senator Mendoza. These were things they knew about. These were things they suspected. Well, then all of a sudden, the hammer got dropped on him. Well, as soon as he backed off on his interest in what the Phoenix Lights were, oh man, we will drop these charges. You'll plead guilty to this. We'll offer you a really good. It wasn't an Epstein plea deal. But we'll offer you a good plea deal, and you just go away and quit bothering us, and so on and so forth. And so I really wonder if, like, you take a look at Hunter Biden. There are legal experts that will tell you it does not make any sense that these charges were brought against him. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I was hitting that guy with the rotten flesh. I didn't have I didn't have my sword equipped. I'm sorry, I find that funny. I'm like, God, this is taking a lot of hits, and then I look down, I'm hitting him with a piece of rotten flesh. Like, oh, no wonder. And I just kind of wonder, and again, I don't know about that Senator Mendoza, what they found, it looks bad, but what if they planted that evidence? What if those gold bars and all that money was planted? What if they threw him under the bus? Or what if they knew and they didn't give a shit until they needed to threaten the Senate? Because they took out someone in leadership. And, the thing that gets me is you look at Attorney General Garland. Okay, this is a guy, and when you look at what Garland has, or what Mendoza is accused of, I don't even know if he's guilty. I don't even know if he did it. I don't even know if he did it, and it was, it sounds like if he did it, it's illegal. I don't even know if he's being framed. I really don't. But the thing with Garland is, when you look at the criminal stuff that was just as bad or far worse on the right, he's buried that. He's fucking buried that like Bill Barr did. And the January 6th for like Trump and some of the others, I'm not even sure they would be investigating that or charging it now if it hadn't been for the January 6th committee. It really looked like he was going to sweep that under the rug. It really did. And and again, the same pattern with that Governor Simonton or whatever his name is in Arizona. It looked like, if that stuff was true, they knew about it. They didn't give a shit. He suddenly wanted information on Phoenix Lights, and then, boom, the hammer came down, and they're like, it's the same pattern. It's absolutely the same pattern. And you take a look at what they're doing to that senator and Democratic leadership. Is this a warning shot at the Senate? Hey, what else are we going to do if you don't back the fuck off? Then they had that, fucking weasel, the Eddie Haskell in the fucking House. They got him trying to shut the government down. How do we know that that's not part of this? That they want him doing that so that they could basically maybe oh man, we were in a hurry, we just couldn't do it, we'll have to get it later, so they can pass it on one more year. Uh, and then you take a look at Hunter Biden. There are like seasoned prosecutors, people that are not, I wouldn't say are liberal people, and they have basically said that these charges. There's one of them. She goes, in my 20 years as a federal prosecutor, she goes, I only charged one person with that. And he goes, and she goes, generally, it's never, I've never, whether it was me or somebody else, she goes, I've never seen it used on somebody who did not commit a gun crime. So, it was something that they would usually use on somebody if they committed a crime with a gun, if they shot somebody, etc., etc. And she goes, she goes, I can't find any case where it was used on somebody who owned a gun in the past for 11 days, didn't even have it anymore, never used it in the commission of a crime. She goes, I can't find any example where somebody was prosecuted over this. She goes, I used it once. And she goes, most of the time prosecutors use it when they've got a criminal and they can't get them on anything else. So they can basically get them off the street short term, get them in the system so they'll be watched. And she said, this just doesn't make any sense. So again, is this something where somebody is doing it, sending a message to the president? Hey, you better back off of this. You got other family members. You got a wife. You got other relatives. Look what we're going to do to your son here. And I don't know, but I'm just saying it doesn't look good. Oh, looks like I can get them all. Okay. But that's the thing I just don't know though. When they look at this, and they had that interview with Chris Mellon, and like I said, I just see this pattern. I just absolutely see this pattern, and I wonder what the fuck is going on. And because this has happened before, where they would get somebody in there. They would get somebody in there and they would be gung ho. Oh, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that, and then the next thing you know, that person is no longer in office. And and Matt Gaetz could have been a fucking useful idiot for this, because some of those people, like one of them, that Tim Burchett from Tennessee, he's one of the ones that voted to ouster McCarthy. Well, now does that put him in a bad light with leadership, with people in power? It very well could be. Hang on a sec. Let's go sleep in the bed. And I kind of wonder. Well, he got talking to that Chris Mellon, and he was talking about, again, well, there's something there. What we're gonna find, I don't know, but there's definitely something there. And then he made the comment because Chris Mellon, and I've never heard this, but he was saying, he goes, well, you basically said that some of these things are clearly from, they're clearly aliens. And he said, well, he goes, I think, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm not trying to quote him word for word. I can't do that right now. But he said, well, he goes, I don't know. He goes, there just isn't any evidence. There just isn't any evidence, where they come from. And he said, and here's the thing. He goes, some of it may or may not. But he goes, when you talk about the stuff that we found in the Nimitz video, he goes, I don't know how to explain it. When you see what those things were doing, he goes, I just don't know how to say that those things weren't from somewhere else. He goes, I don't get it. I literally don't get it. And he, he's just talking about the capabilities of these things. And then I can't think of the guy's name. I don't know if it was Podesta but I believe it was somebody that used to run the CIA. I don't think it would have been anybody under Trump. I think it would have been somebody under Obama, but it was either Podesta or. But he said that guy there said we have satellite photos of UFOs or UAPs. They have satellite data on them. They've caught them with satellites. And it's like I said, you gotta look it up. I can't do it justice, but it was a very, very good interview that he did. And again, I don't know, but I think we're close. I think we're on the cusp, and I don't know that we're gonna see it, but we need a handful of people. And if you look at it, they were talking publicly in the past. Gillibrand, Rubio, Schumer came out. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Blah, blah, blah. They're all being real quiet about it. I would say that there may be some pressuring. I mean, we saw it when David Grush came forward. It really appeared to some members of Congress, and the one guy said, I don't know if we could prove it in a court of law, but he goes, it's pretty obvious to me that our witnesses are being manipulated, that there are people that are tampering with our witnesses. He goes, that should be a crime. He goes, we got people that agreed to come before us and testify. And he goes, if there is a rogue agent in the government that's putting pressure on them, he goes, they should be going to jail. He goes, I don't know if we could prove it in a court of law, but they absolutely should be. And one of the things, and I don't know, it's someone I don't have a lot of faith in, but when somebody is making sense, they're making sense. And this is a guy who basically said that these people that are in these programs should very well be able to come forward and testify without any fear of going to jail, even if they're releasing classified information, because they said these are programs that are illegal. He goes, these are programs that are not reporting to the president in some cases. They are not reporting, like the Wilson memo, they are not reporting to people in the military in their chain of command. They are not reporting to Congress. They are misappropriating congressional funds that they do not have a legal access to. He goes, these programs are not legal. They are breaking the law. And he said, and again, I don't know if this is true or not. He goes, they are not covered by the classification laws. And this is something I told Congress. I go, look, I don't know what's going on, but I go, at first UFO meeting like last year, I go, it really appears you guys are being lied to. And I go, I am positive you are going to have to put some of these people in jail before you get any answers on this shit. You do what you want, but I'm thinking you're going to have to put people in jail over this. And I Jesus Christ. So I don't know, but yeah, that interview that he did, I thought was really really good. Uh, I don't think I spazzed out too much. I think I had a fairly good stream. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see how much time. Oh my God, yeah, we did well over an hour. I'm doing really good. I tried to stay on focus. I tried not to drift too much. But go check out that Chris Cuomo interview. Write your congressmen and congresswomen and get those amendments done. I firmly wish you would do that. Write them. Get your kids to write them. That's usually a cool thing. But let them know that we need this. We need some answers. We need some accountability. Let them know that if Representative Burchett's right and there's $1 billion missing every year from the Pentagon budget, there's a billion reasons why we need to get to the bottom of this, whether ET's there or not. Peace out, and I hope everybody has a really good day. Oh, and if you're watching this on YouTube, spank the shit out of that like button and hit that notification bell so you know when I got new streams coming. Peace out and have a good day.